Imagine this. The moment you stop calling, stop texting, and stop chasing, she suddenly starts to wonder where you went. That silence, that space, it's louder than any words you could ever say. And the truth is, nothing unsettles a woman more than a man who refuses to beg for her attention. Welcome to the channel, gentlemen. What we're breaking down today is simple but highly misunderstood. What a woman actually feels when you give her space and ignore her. Most men think distance will make her forget. In reality, it does the opposite. Here's why it's so controversial. Women are used to being pursued. From the time they're young, they're taught that men will fight for their attention, blow up their phones, and jump through hoops just to keep them interested. So, when you're the man who doesn't follow that script, she feels it instantly. That silence hits her ego. It challenges her sense of control, and it makes her question what she really means to you. And this is where the psychology gets interesting. When you step back, not in anger, but in calm confidence, you create space for her emotions to run wild. Curiosity, confusion, jealousy, even a touch of regret. They all bubble to the surface. She might not show it on the outside, but inside she's replaying every detail and wondering why you're no longer available. This isn't about games or cruelty. It's about standing as a man who values his time and energy. By ignoring her, you're not pushing her away. You're forcing her to realize that attention from you is something she can't just demand. And that, my friends, is where real power begins. The shock of silence. 1. The shock of silence. The first thing a woman feels when you step back and ignore her is shock. Why? Because she's not used to it. In her world, men usually respond instantly, jump when she calls, and keep feeding her the reassurance she thrives on. So, when you suddenly go quiet, when the stream of attention stops flowing, it throws her completely off balance. That silence is unfamiliar territory, and the human mind reacts strongest when something breaks routine. Think about it. A woman who's used to having you check in every day suddenly finds herself looking at her phone, waiting for a message that never comes. At first, she brushes it off. She tells herself, "You're busy, maybe caught up with work, maybe distracted for a little while." But as hours turn into days, the silence begins to sink in, and it does something powerful. It makes her notice you more. The shock isn't just about missing your texts. It's about the absence of energy. Attention from a man, especially one she knows values her, feeds her sense of importance. When that's gone, it's like pulling the rug out from under her. Suddenly, she feels a gap, and gaps in attention create questions. She wonders, what's he doing? Why hasn't he called? Did I do something wrong? Has he moved on? That questioning is exactly where the shift begins. Here's what most men don't realize. Women are addicted to attention the same way people are addicted to a daily habit. Break that pattern and withdrawal symptoms kick in. The silence unsettles her because it suggests something deeper. That you're not dependent on her. That you have the power to walk away at any time. And nothing stirs a woman's emotions more than the thought of losing a man who doesn't need her validation to feel complete. The shock of silence forces her to feel the absence of you. And in that absence, she realizes how much space you actually took up in her life. That's when the power begins to shift, because the one who withdraws first is the one who forces the other to react. Her ego takes a hit too, her ego takes a hit. When you give a woman space and ignore her, the next powerful shift happens inside her ego. And this is where things get really interesting, because women, just like men, have pride, self-image, and expectations about how others should treat them. A woman who has been showered with your attention who's used to your constant replies and availability, naturally begins to believe she has secure control over you. In her mind, she thinks, if I want his time, I'll get it. If I want his focus, it's mine. But when that dynamic suddenly changes, her ego feels the sting. It's like a queen who walks into her throne room and realizes no one is bowing anymore. The silence challenges her sense of superiority, and that's exactly why it rattles her so deeply. She's no longer the unquestioned center of your world, and that bruises her pride in a way she won't easily admit. Here's the key lesson for men. Most guys fuel a woman's ego without even realizing it. Every quick reply, every good morning text, every time you cancel plans for her, it all tells her that she comes first. And while she enjoys that feeling, it also makes her take you for granted. The moment you stop feeding her ego, she feels the weight of that missing attention. It's like a mirror cracking. The image she had of herself being untouchable in your life is suddenly shaken. And this ego hit is powerful because it flips her script. Instead of her evaluating whether you're good enough for her, she starts evaluating whether she's losing her hold on you. Instead of her thinking, I can replace him easily, she's now thinking, why is he pulling away from me? What does he see in himself that makes him so calm about ignoring me? That shift is educational for you because it shows how fragile her sense of power really is when tested. You need to understand this. Ignoring her doesn't just make her feel curiosity, it makes her reflect on her worth in your eyes. And that's where her pride collides with her emotions. A bruised ego often pushes a woman to act. She may try to re-engage, throw subtle hints, or test you with little provocations just to see if she can still get that validation back. This is why silence works. You're not being cruel. You're simply refusing to play the endless game of feeding her self-importance. And in doing so, you're teaching her that your attention has value. You're showing her that she must earn it, not expect it. When her ego takes that hit, she learns that you are not a man who kneels at the altar of her pride. You are a man who stands on his own ground. And that's the exact type of man she can't help but respect. Curiosity kicks in 3, curiosity kicks in. After the initial shock and the sting to her ego, something else begins to take root. Curiosity. And this is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. When people don't have answers, their minds fill the gap with questions. And women are no different. The moment you stop giving her the reassurance of constant messages calls her attention, her curiosity starts to burn. At first, she'll try to rationalize your silence. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he just needs some time. But as the hours and days pass, that rational voice gets quieter and the emotional voice grows louder. She begins to wonder, what's he doing? Who's he with? Has he moved on to someone else? Why isn't he giving me the attention he used to? That's when curiosity turns into a craving. Here's what most men don't realize. Curiosity is actually more powerful than attraction. A woman who knows everything about you can predict your moves. She knows when you'll text. She knows what you'll say. And she knows you'll always be available. That predictability kills excitement. But when you ignore her and give her space, suddenly you become a mystery again. She can't predict you, and that drives her attention straight back to you. Think about it like this. When you finish a great movie, you don't sit around obsessing about it because you already know the ending. But when a show ends on a cliffhanger, you can't stop thinking about it. You need to know what happens next. By stepping back, you create that cliffhanger in her mind. You become the unresolved story she can't stop replaying. Now, this isn't about being manipulative. It's about teaching men the natural law of value. The less someone knows about what you're doing, the more they want to find out. And in relationships, The man who doesn't hand over all of his time and energy keeps his mystery alive. That mystery is what pulls her closer. Curiosity also forces her to reflect. She starts to replay old conversations, scanning them for clues about why you're acting differently. She looks at your social media, she checks your patterns, and she tries to piece together the puzzle of your silence. And the more effort she puts into figuring you out, the deeper you're lodged in her thoughts. Here's the teaching point. Men often fear that giving space will make a woman forget them. The reality is the opposite. Curiosity works in your favor. It keeps you alive in her mind even when you're not physically present. You become the question she needs answered. And when a woman is curious about you, she's already investing her mental and emotional energy into you. That's the real win. Insecurity rises. 4. Insecurity rises. Now, let's get practical. Picture a man named David. He's been dating his girlfriend Lisa for about a year. In the beginning, David was always available. He'd reply to every text within minutes, rearrange his schedule to see her, and constantly reassure her of his feelings. Lisa enjoyed it, but over time she started to take it for granted. She felt secure knowing David was always there. Too secure. Then, one day, David decided to change things. Instead of being constantly available, he pulled back. He stopped checking his phone every 2 minutes. He stopped dropping everything for her. And he gave her the space she never asked for, but desperately needed. At first, Lisa shrugged it off, but soon something interesting happened. Insecurity began to rise inside her. This is what many men don't see. When you give a woman space, you interrupt the comfort she built around your constant attention. She starts to wonder, why isn't he texting me back so quickly? Did something change? Is there someone else? That little seed of doubt grows and insecurity takes root. It doesn't matter if you're the most loyal man in the world. Your silence alone is enough to trigger her imagination. Here's the psychology. Women, like men, tie their sense of security in relationships to consistency. When that consistency shifts, their minds run wild with possibilities. And because emotions drive behavior, insecurity pushes her to act. She may test you by reaching out more. She may throw subtle comments to see if you'll bite, or she may even try to provoke jealousy to confirm if you still care. Back to David and Lisa. Lisa began texting him more often, asking questions like, "Are you busy?" Or, "What are you up to?" She even checked his social media more than usual. What changed? Nothing dramatic on David's end, but Lisa's insecurity was now working in his favour. Instead of David being the one chasing her, she was now the one chasing him. The lesson here for men is simple. Insecurity isn't about making her suffer. It's about resetting the balance. When you're always available, she never questions your place in her life. But when you step back, she starts to fear losing you. And that fear brings her respect and attraction back to the surface. Remember this. A woman who feels a healthy amount of insecurity is a woman who values you more. You don't need to explain yourself or play games. Just by living your life with independence and confidence, you naturally shift the dynamic. And once insecurity rises, she begins to realize your attention is not guaranteed. It has to be earned. Jealousy appears. 5. Jealousy appears. When you give a woman space and ignore her long enough, jealousy often shows up next. It's a natural emotional response. Once her ego is bruised and her curiosity starts to boil, she begins to imagine the worst case scenarios. Is he talking to another woman? Did he meet someone new? What if I've already lost him? This emotional storm can quickly turn into jealousy, even if you haven't done a single thing wrong. Here's where a lot of men make mistakes. The first wrong move is rubbing her jealousy in her face. Some men think the best way to keep her hooked is to flaunt other women, post stage photos, or drop hints about being surrounded by options. Sure, it might spark a reaction, but it also builds resentment and distrust. If she feels manipulated, she won't respect you. She'll just view you as petty. The second wrong move is over-explaining yourself. When a woman starts acting jealous, many men panic and try to calm her down by giving long speeches. No, I wasn't with anyone. No, you don't have to worry. You're the only one I like. That desperate need to reassure actually confirms her power over you. Instead of calming her down, it signals that you're afraid of losing her. The third mistake is getting defensive or angry. Some men snap back when a woman's jealousy shows. Why are you so insecure? Or, I can't believe you don't trust me. That only escalates the situation. You end up fighting her emotions instead of leading with strength. So, what's the right way to handle it? It comes down to calm confidence. When jealousy appears, don't fuel it. Don't over-explain and don't get defensive. Instead, keep your words short and grounded. For example, if she says, "Are you ignoring me because of another girl?" The wrong response is to argue or prove yourself. The right response is something simple like, "I'm just focused on my own life right now." That answer gives nothing away. Yet, it reassures her that your focus is on yourself, not on replacing her. Another strong response is redirecting her emotions without apology. If she throws jealous comments like, "You must be out with someone else," you can calmly say, "If you think that, it's up to you. I don't need to prove myself by staying calm and firm. You show her that her jealousy doesn't control you." The real lesson for men is this. Jealousy means she cares. It means the silence has worked and her fear of losing you is active. But instead of feeding that fear in toxic ways, you turn it into respect by handling it with composure. A man who doesn't play games, doesn't panic, and doesn't bow to jealousy is a man she takes seriously. When jealousy appears, your job isn't to fan the flames. It's to stand tall in them. That's what separates the boy she can manipulate from the man she can't forget. Respect is rebuilt 6. Respect is rebuilt. Here's the part most men never expect. After the shock, the ego hit, the curiosity, the insecurity, and even the jealousy, something shifts inside her. She begins to see you differently. The respect that might have faded when you were always chasing, always proving yourself, begins to rebuild brick by brick. Respect in relationships is everything. Without it, attraction dies. A woman can like you. She can be physically drawn to you. But if she doesn't respect you, she won't stay loyal to you and she won't value your presence. And the truth is, most men lose respect not because they're bad guys, but because they give too much. They hand over all their energy, all their time, and all their attention, leaving nothing for themselves. That kind of behavior doesn't inspire respect. It inspires entitlement. When you finally step back and ignore her, you show her something she can't ignore: self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. It communicates that you don't beg, you don't chase, and you don't hand over your dignity just to keep her happy. You're not cruel, but you're firm. You're not needy, but you're focused. And for the first time in a long time, she feels that energy from you. Imagine this: a man who was always available suddenly stops rearranging his schedule. Instead of rushing to reply, he takes his time. Instead of letting her mood dictate his day, he keeps moving with his own plans. She notices. At first, she might resist it. She'll throw little tests. She'll get moody. But deep down, she's impressed. She sees a man who values himself. And a man who values himself forces others to value him too. That's how respect is rebuilt. Not through long talks, not through begging her to appreciate you, but through your actions. Women respect consistency, strength, and independence. They respect a man who can walk away if he isn't valued. Your silence, your ability to give space, communicates all of that louder than words ever could. Here's the key teaching point. Respect isn't given, it's earned daily by how you carry yourself. If you fold at the first sign of pressure, she loses respect. If you stand firm even when it's uncomfortable, she begins to respect you again. And once respect is back, attraction naturally grows alongside it. By ignoring her and letting her feel the absence of your attention, you force her to re-evaluate the way she sees you. You're no longer the man who can be controlled. You're the man she must work to keep. And that, gentleman, is the exact foundation for lasting respect. She starts chasing 7. She starts chasing. After all the emotions she's cycled through, shock, bruised ego, curiosity, insecurity, and jealousy, something powerful finally happens. She starts chasing you. And this is the point where most men are caught off guard, because they're so used to being the ones doing the chasing that they don't even recognize when the roles flip. Here's what it looks like in real life. Suddenly, she's the one initiating the text. She's asking, "How have you been?" Or, "Why haven't I heard from you?" She starts suggesting plans instead of waiting for you to make the move. The same woman who once acted as though your attention was guaranteed is now putting effort into getting it back. Why does this happen? Because in her mind, the silence proved one thing. You're not desperate. And nothing is more attractive to a woman than a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her. Your ability to give space shows that your world doesn't revolve around her, and that realization lights a fire under her. She doesn't want to lose a man who has options, discipline, and self-respect. Now, here's where men need to be careful. The wrong reaction when she starts chasing is to instantly collapse back into old patterns. Many guys get so excited that she's showing effort again that they overcompensate. They flood her with attention. They over-explain why they were quiet. Or they immediately put her back on a pedestal. And guess what happens? She feels safe again, takes you for granted again, and the cycle repeats. The right move is different. When she starts chasing, meet her effort, but don't overdo it. If she reaches out, respond, but keep it calm and controlled. If she suggests plans, agree when it fits your schedule, not when it disrupts your life. The key here is balance. You're showing her that you're interested, but you're not dropping everything just because she finally put in effort. What's powerful about this stage is that she begins to feel what you felt before. She's now the one wondering if she's enough, if she's doing the right things, if she's saying what you want to hear. That shift creates a new dynamic where she invests more energy into the relationship. She values you more because she had to fight for your attention instead of it being handed to her. And let's be honest, this is where respect and attraction peak. A woman will never fully value what she didn't have to work for. By letting her chase, you're not only rebuilding respect, but also setting a healthier balance. She sees you as a man worth pursuing, not just another guy she can control. When she starts chasing, that's your confirmation that giving her space worked. You flip the script. And from here on, the relationship moves on your terms, not through control, but through earned respect. Conclusion. When you give a woman space and ignore her, you trigger emotions she can't control. Shock, bruised ego, curiosity, insecurity, jealousy, and eventually respect and pursuit. Most men fear silence will push her away, but in reality, it forces her to recognize your value. By holding your ground, you show her that your attention is earned, not owed. That's what shifts the balance. Remember, this isn't about cruelty, it's about confidence. When you stop chasing, she starts questioning. When you stand firm, she starts respecting.